Okay, we're going to get started with Coach Miller. Our first question will be Justin Spears, Arizona Daily Star.
Coach, sorry for the music in the background, but I was looking at stats and James Akinjo's game log, and he hasn't had a game where he had 0 turnovers since he was a freshman at Georgetown. What did you like about the way he played tonight, and specifically taking care of the ball?
Well, I thought this was James's best game since he's been with us here at Arizona. 8 assists and 0 turnovers from the point guard position. You know, that means that you're in total command of the game and you're making your teammates better. But he also was 7 for 14 from the floor, 20 points. And I thought he really defended on and off the ball, played with a lot of energy. And it was great to see him and really our team respond from our game against Stanford. None of us really felt good about how we played in that game. And Stanford deserves a ton of credit for how we did play. But we weren't the together, hard-playing, unselfish group that this team has been throughout the year. We let our guard down. Not sure why or how it happened, but we just were not good in those areas. And look, with the way our team is, the way the Pac-12 is, if we're not at our best, we're not going to be very good. But I think on the contrary, when we are really playing together as a team, playing both sides, defense, offense, you know, I believe that we have the ability to beat any team on our schedule. And tonight was one of our best performances, and I thought James led the way.
Next question, Troy Hutchison, All Sports Tucson.
Coach, last time you mentioned this would be your guys' 4th game in 10 days. How do you evaluate your team after a letdown game last time and then being able to bounce back today?
Well, it's not just 4 games in 10 days. It's playing your rival in the Pac-12 2 times in 4 or 5 days. That's very, very hard. Very, very hard. A lot of emotion, a lot of energy that you give to being ready for those games, especially the way the first game was played and how it ended. It takes its toll out of you. And, you know, for us, on the heels of that, having Ben Mathurin go down, it's hard. Ben is a very talented young player, and we would not have played him against Stanford if he would have, if he wasn't, or he would have put himself at further risk. But when you don't practice, you don't go through shoot around for a large period of time, none of us really felt he would be able to play, including himself. And then he plays. There's some things that are going to happen in that game that aren't going to give you a good feeling. So we had that as part of this 4 games in 10 days. But I'm happy for our guys, proud of us that we bounced back, and we really need some time. We need some time away. Our guys need to rest. Terrell Brown and James Akinjo are playing a ton of minutes, practicing every day, and I think it's really going to be good that we don't play our next game until Thursday.
Next question, Bruce Pasco, Arizona Daily Star.
Sean, I'm sorry, between the music and the connection here, I couldn't hear exactly what you said, but it sounded like you say they were not as unselfish as normal. I mean, and what specifically did you mean? Were there breakdowns in communication or just something you didn't normally see tonight?
No, I was referring to our Stanford game. You know,
okay.
We just, you know, that game in particular, we didn't have it. We didn't have it. And I don't want to take any credit away from Stanford because, you know, to me, what they represent is a really well-coached, complete, together group playing for the win. Obviously, an excellent defensive team, but a clearly very unselfish, ball-moving type of team on offense. And, you know, they have a system right now that they're really executing. So when you play against them, you got to be locked in and the details of things, everything from scouting to effort to finishing, you know, defense, offense. And we just, we picked the wrong game to not be good in those areas. And we've addressed that. We talked about it. And I thought that today, regardless of what the final score, we were just overall much better and looked more like ourselves.
Okay. Well, was that, I was wondering if, you know, you seemed like you took a long time to come out here. I didn't know, sometimes you do have an extended conversation with them. I didn't know if that was sort of an effort you had to reset things and maybe emphasize that things went well today, or what was that all about?
Yeah, a little bit of both. We have a big trip coming up. I think it's to encourage our guys to stick with their COVID protocols. Still out there. We've been able to get to the end of January here, and it's just making solid decisions, and then really making sure that everybody understands winning on the road, playing that trip where you have 2 flights is not easy. And I think the final part is just to kind of review the team we were against Stanford, and the same group went back out here today, and some of the things that I thought we did better. That's how we have to be. That's how we have to be moving forward.
Next question, Steve Rivera, Fox Sports 1450.
Yeah, Sean, on the TV, the commentator said that you had maybe told them, I could be wrong with this, that this may have been the most important game of the season so far. Was that true? And if it's true, why was that?
It was true, and the reason is because of really how I think we all felt, but especially how I felt leaving the Stanford game. I mean, we had a lead under the 8-minute media timeout of 5 points. And we went out there and we just got smashed. We just broke down, we gave in, and we just had a kind of a selfishness about us across the board that's not going to allow our team to be successful. And keep in mind, we have a lot of young players, a lot of new faces, and you could have the greatest team chemistry and the best team in the country. There's going to be those weeks or those games where, things happen. And I think it's more about how you handle it, how you can bounce back, how you can address it when those things happen so that they don't happen again, or we can fix some of the things that we saw. So I didn't know how this would go. On top of that, this is our 4th game in 10 days. I didn't think we had the energy the other night, but we did have the energy tonight. So what does that tell you? Probably tells you that we were guilty of some of these things that I'm referring to, as opposed to we were just too tired. We had enough. We just didn't get the job done.
And secondly, if I could, you had to get on him after the UCLA series, the USC-UCLA thing. You got on him again over the weekend for that effort, or for Stanford. Is this a team that you have to kind of consistently get on them or remind them or whatever to get them fired up?
Not really. Our guys have a really good attitude. It's just, nobody really understands how hard a season is. Even the teams that we've had that have won the Pac-12 or, had an opportunity to compete for that season's national championship, there's going to be injuries. I mean, we had a team that I think was 23-0, and Brandon Ashley broke his foot. I mean, we couldn't. We had to move to the next game. We had to be able to bounce back and kind of redefine ourselves. There's tough losses that happen, and so much of it is to not allow it to continue, to be able to put it behind you, learn. And that doesn't mean you're going to win the next game, but I think everybody wants the team that they're a part of, to play against one team, and that's our opponent, not to play against ourselves and our opponent. And, having unselfishness, being together on practice, being diligent with scouting, really making sure that we execute what we're supposed to. We have to do those things to win. We're not walking out there at the jump ball and, overwhelming anybody on our schedule. We have to do things collectively the right way. And defensively, there have been a number of times this season where our defense really let us down. And we can't let that happen. We have to keep improving on defense.
Thanks.
Next question, Ryan Kellepier, Hazy Desert Swarm.
So you mentioned how many minutes Terrell and James are playing. So how big will it be to have Kerr back next week, and what can fans expect from him?
Well, it'll be really, really big to have Kerr back. I'll caution everybody, especially you guys, because you cover our team. It's really a very difficult situation for Kerr to play his first college game ever when everybody that he's playing with and against are on game 15, game 16. especially in the middle of the season. I mean, we're going to be in February. We're on an away court. So I think the first things first, him being able to settle into a role where he can come in the game and sub out James, sub out Terrell, and kind of get the good feel about being out there. I mean, I'm sure he's incredibly nervous. The good thing for Kerr is he's healthy. He's been able to practice with us really the entire semester, and then over the holidays, and other than when he went home with his national team and when he suffered a concussion, other than those 2 periods of time, he practices with us. He goes to shoot around. He knows our plays. He knows our system. So he's not starting from scratch there, but we just I think are going to welcome him to our team simply because we're starving for a perimeter player, and he's that. And he could play both 1 and the 2. He's an excellent shooter. He's a very, very good player, but I think it'll take him some time to get comfortable.
Next question, David Kelly, KVOA.
Hey, Sean, non-game question, but obviously there's a lot going on in the mix with facilities right now, with volleyball kind of playing at this time of the year. And I was wondering how it's going in managing and all that for your team. I noticed last night you guys did your walkthrough at RJG. Was that normally something you would have done at McHale had there not been a game going on here last night?
Yeah, I mean, we all work together pretty good, David. You're right. Volleyball is starting up, and, the women's basketball and Adia, their season is obviously right in the middle of it, and they have an excellent team. So we're used to sharing it. I mean, the other day we had a gymnastics meet, and that's what we're fortunate to have, the Richard Jefferson Gym. That's what it's there for, and we all take our turn. If any of those sports have a game, then we defer and we practice at Richard Jefferson. But you're right. Yesterday we practiced over there, but this morning we had our day of the game shoot around in McHale. But there is a lot going on. Our facilities guys and everybody's trying to be very smart with COVID.
Final question for Coach. We'll go back to Bruce Pascoe.
Sean, I noticed Daniel wasn't on the bench tonight, and I'm not sure if he was Thursday, but I was just wondering what's up with him because I know he had been sort of doing some practice work.
Yeah, he was not feeling well, and it's just because he's not really able to play in games. If you're just not feeling well, it's smart for both Daniel and our team just to allow him to be away. I'm not speaking on COVID or whatever. I'm just addressing not feeling well, and you can get sick, which we just want to make sure that he's healthy and keep him away from our guys. But that's it. We plan on bringing him on our next trip.
Okay. And just to follow up on what you were saying about James and Terrell and some of the guys you're playing a lot, has it gotten to the point where maybe this week you might even have them sit out some of the drills just to rest their legs?
Yeah, I mean, we're smart with that. The good news is they have the rest of tonight, today. The other night, the other part about just our schedule is when you play a 9 p.m. game, I mean, it's just, it's incredible when everybody gets home, so I think, again, that Monday game against ASU was a very difficult game, I'm sure for ASU as well. But we're aware of it for sure, but we'll be able to take tomorrow off. We'll be smart on Monday, and, Kerr will be able to practice and start to look at him a little differently because we're able to play him in games, and hopefully Ben and Jordan Brown both continue to get closer to 100%.
Thanks. And can I, one other thing, just, I don't see any other questions queued up here, but I was curious your thoughts, again, as a point guard on James flipping that ball back to Azulis and kind of bowling over Matt Bradley in the process. What did you think of that play? In the second half? Yeah, I mean, James, and I said it earlier, I thought it was his best game that he's played at Arizona. 8 assists, 0 turnovers. You're right. He had some really great passes where he found his teammates, controlled the game, played very good defense, and he also scored 20 points. I think James is becoming an all-conference player, and, he was really, really good tonight. He's one of many guys that responded, and I thought really bounced back from our Stanford loss, and it was great to see him lead the charge tonight. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. The last comment I just want to make is I had the opportunity, like maybe some of you guys to go out on our campus in the mall and see the setup that we have for vaccines. I know that in talking with a lot of the volunteers and Dr. Robbins and the doctors that are spearheading just an amazing, incredible setup, that they're going to go from 800 vaccines per day to 1,600, maybe as soon as this coming week. I know they're looking for more volunteers. I mean, it is just an amazing setup to see us have that on our campus and impact our community like it's impacting 1,600 vaccine shots per day here moving forward. But I know they're looking for more help. I know a lot of the volunteers are working around the clock, and a heartfelt thank you to them. And really just wanted to mention, because I was there and saw it and watched it, the process that they have, how organized as it is, it's incredible. And we're all lucky to have that here at the U of A, but just wanted to encourage anybody that had any interest in being a part of that they in fact are looking for help and looking for people, especially when they ramp up the 800 to 1,600 vaccines. So I wanted to mention that for all the right reasons in the world. So thank you to them, and bear down.